Let's start the Big 12 championship between Iowa State and Arizona State. Saturday, noon Eastern on ABC. Arizona State's a 2-point favorite here. This game will be played in Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. Total sitting at 49 and a half. I've gone back and forth in this game a million times. So I have an Iowa State future. I know we gave that out on the pod. I know a lot of you do too. I initially bought some back, took some Arizona State money line early in the week. Basically, I have like a free roll on Arizona State plus
Mhm.
300 and uh, Iowa State plus 600. But because I initially thought Arizona State was going to run the ball. Scatterbo was going to be the difference. But after digging in the last couple of days, I'm starting to come around on Iowa State. I do think that this line should be closer to a pick without Jordan Tyson. The loss of Jordan Tyson is just huge.
Yes, it is.
He was, 1,000-yard receiver, season-ending injury. He's who Levitt looks for on third down. He was their explosive passing option. And without him, Iowa State, which is a run funnel defense, they want you to run, bend but don't break. They can now dedicate more resources to stopping Scatterbo. Scatterbo's still going to have success running the ball, but I think it makes them much easier to defend. And on the other side of the ball, this Arizona State team, they don't really generate an elite pass rush. And Iowa State has two Jordan Tysons and Higgins and Noel. And what I kept coming back to is I would, and this is, if I look back at all the teams that Arizona State plays, this is the best passing attack. I mean, you could argue Texas Tech could beat Arizona State, that Arizona State will play. The fact that this game is played in Jerry World, I think favors Iowa State, which is weird because they play outdoors. Arizona State plays in Tempe. And but Arizona State is built more like a team without Tyson that would rather play this game in like Ames. And Iowa State this year is built more like a team that would thrive on a fast track in a temperature controlled environment because they can't really run the ball. And it's all on Becht and their two really good receivers. Becht should have time here. And I think ultimately that's going to be the difference. Arizona State's going to move the ball. Scatterbo is going to get his, but I think Iowa State will hold up in the red zone, force enough field goals, and then they'll hit enough explosives on offense. I think it'll be a super tight game. Something else to keep in mind, Arizona State penalties could be big. Iowa State doesn't get penalized. Arizona State has issues there. And Arizona State special teams, and again, it should be close, are a disaster. I think they're like, I should look at this up. I think they're like on field goal kicks this year. They are 4 of 11 from 30 plus. That's rough. So their specialties are us, but I think the loss of Tyson is very key here. So I'm starting to lean towards Iowa State. I might buy back some of my buyback um, on Arizona State, but basically a coin flippish game. I think that this should be. I don't think that Arizona State deserves to be a favorite here without the loss of Tyson indoors, which I think favors the Cyclones. What are your thoughts here?
A lot of positives for Iowa State in this game, in my opinion. Not only, I mean, I think the game in Dallas is because, by the way, I-35 connects Ames all the way down to DFW. And outside of the blue bloods of college football, nobody travels like Iowa and Iowa State. I think Iowa State had a game out at what, UNLV a couple years ago. Might have been 90% Iowa State fans in a regular season game. They're going to travel and they're going to fill this place up. And I think it's going to be predominantly Iowa State fans. Once you get past that, Kenny Dillingham right now is the hot guy at the blackjack table. A bunch of wins in a row, 6 wins this season by a possession or less. Iowa State, they've had to have a 3-game sweep after back-to-back losses to Texas Tech and Kansas. So it's one of those things where Arizona State's just hot at the blackjack table, and Iowa State has had to claw for their life after those 2 consecutive wins. So it's just two different mindsets, in my opinion. And like, what is the emotional hangover of the last couple weeks that's been going on with Arizona State? You have to come down from that at some point. Now, saying that I
Iowa
like,
State in a way, it's like I think that they could play looser here.
Yeah.
Like they a couple weeks ago, they didn't think there was going to be any shot that they were going to be here. They didn't control their own destiny, and then uh, here they are with a chance to go to the college football playoff in a small underdog role.
So I think the biggest cap of this game is what is Iowa State going to do on defense? Because John Heacock, the defensive coordinator, runs that 3-3-5 stack, a very light box. And now that we know that Jordan Tyson is out, it's going to be Camp Skateabo. Like that, you're going to have to figure out how to scheme and get around that because there's no passing game here. I mean, the best catchers are now tight ends Shimon Mateer and Cam Scatabo. That's it. When you look at the wide receivers, like the next set of wide receivers after Jordan Tyson, it's really bad. Like Xavier Gilroy and Melquan Stovall have had 12 catches in the last 5 games, a complete non-factor. Something else.
Here's to sum it up. Jordan Tyson, 75 catches, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. The rest of the receivers on the team, 41 catches, 634 yards, 4 touchdowns. I
Right.
mean, Tyson's basically doubled the production of all the other receivers combined.
Well, there's another one too. And this is all in the preview that'll be out on Action Network this week. When it comes down to third down and red zone targets, Jordan Tyson up around 40. No other wide receiver on the team has even gotten to 10. So, I mean, there's just going to be critical downs and distances here where Levitt's going to have to throw the ball, and there's just not going to be anybody there that he's familiar with on third downs and red zone attacks. So, it's really the crux of the game. Like the 3-3-5 stack, it doesn't blitz that much. It's not very good against the run, but that's the only thing that you have to defend here for Iowa State. Cam Scatabo quickly flying up the rankings of our BBOC gambling Heisman, but Iowa State has to find a way. And there is good news here. There is a hidden gem that put me on Iowa State here. Arizona State with Kenny Dillingham and Scatabo only runs outside zone. They are predominantly outside zone. There's only one run concept that Iowa State can defend at a normal success rate level, and that's outside zone. Why is that? Because that 3-3-5 stack is dependent on setting the edge off of the tackles at the 5 technique. And that is exactly what they're going to be able to do against outside zone. And that's why Iowa State has more success with that than they do against any other run concept. And if you don't believe it, Kansas State tried to run outside zone against Iowa State last weekend, 26% success rate in 30 attempts.
And they're a good running team.
Yeah, they're a great running team. So they failed. Iowa State improving rush defense with a run concept that gives them an advantage here. When you go to the other side of the ball, you're right. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, it's all been explosives. 2.6 yards per route run. They're the ones that are going to have to carry these points and these explosives. Rocco Beck's numbers, we'll talk about this in bowl season. He's really had a dip in some of his explosives and his efficiency. His turnover-worthy play rate's up from 2.6 to 3.9%. He's had 7 turnover-worthy plays in the last 3 games versus just 1 big-time throw. He's not really moving in the right direction after having unbelievable numbers last year. And then Abu Sama, almost a non-factor this year, less than 3 yards after first contact. The good news is this offense does not get stopped. They're third in offensive momentum killer rate. They're 25th in havoc allowed. They're just, they're not as explosive as they were last year's version, but they get the job done here. And I'm on Iowa State.
And I think that they have the potential to be more explosive though, because Arizona State doesn't get a great passer, so they're going to be playing on this fast track, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all right, let's move on to the.
Yeah. There's a difference in AT&T Stadium than playing in Ames, playing in
There's
Arrowhead,
weather.
Kansas City, and shitty weather. Yeah.
Yeah.